Peace and love for you, beautiful miracles with a spiritual level of being. Nathan here from the spiritual level of being, and today I would like to discuss ancient cannabis use throughout ancient history and its connection to the gods and goddesses of their ancestors. Now, cannabis was one of the first domesticated plants, and we have found its seeds and smoking devices that go all the way back to the Neolithic Stone Age. And we have found this substance throughout Asia, Europe, and even Africa, and it's being used throughout shamanic rituals, spiritual journeys, and funeral rituals throughout the course of history. And this was done through either smoking it, consuming it, drinking it, or even inhaling the secondhand smoke. Now, the Zoroastrians and the Scythians would also get poppy seed and cannabis, and they would use it in a form of incense, and they would burn it and inhale the smoke to receive divine images or messages. Now, the ancient Jews also did the same. They would use cannabis and frankincense, and they would burn it to receive messages from Yahweh and Asherah. Now, they said that this was speculation. However, they have now found proof of this in 2020. They found burnt cannabis and frankincense on an altar in a Jewish temple that was around the 8th century BC. So they used cannabis in a sense in oil to rub on their skin, and also in a smoke in a sense the priest would inhale the fumes to receive prophecy. Now, in ancient India, cannabis was seen as one of the 5 sacred plants of dealing with or healing anxiety. It is said that it was turned into a drink called soma, which they would use for spiritual ceremonies. In ancient China, they turned cannabis into a wine that was used for the priest or priestesses that was said to be invented by Maku, which translates as hemp lady. She is seen as immortal or even represents life and a protector of women in Chinese mythology. Now, cannabis is also represented with the feminine and masculine because it is both male and female, and it's even containing hermaphrodite plants. Now, it was used as a sedative during women pregnancy, so it would come to represent as fertility. Now, seeing a lot of death through childbirth, this started to represent life, death, rebirth, and it's been represented with fertility worship and mother goddess worship, including Mother Earth. Now, a Maonian poppy god, whose altars have been discovered in Knossos, now Heraclon in Crete, who has been also referred to as a goddess of magic mushrooms and even the use of cannabis. Now, the Hindu god Shiva, god of destruction and creation, is said to have drinking alcohol and smoked cannabis. And the Agori, they drink alcohol and smoke weed in order to be closer or receive messages or even talk to Shiva. Now, Freya, a Germanic Norse deity, she was also associated with cannabis, and cannabis was used in a way to honour this deity, and you may have heard this deity from the show of Vikings. Now, in ancient Greece, there was a cult that worshipped Cybele and Attis, and the two of them represented life, death, rebirth, reincarnation. Now, Cybele goes all the way back to a Hittite goddess, and later on she was associated with Aphrodite within some mystery schools. Now, to honour this deity, Cybele, they would consume or drink cannabis, and this was to attain mystic knowledge. Now, the goddess Aphrodite, in her temple, they had incense burning throughout the day and night, and in these incense contained cannabis. And Zeus's wife Hera, they would honour her by giving her shrines cannabis. The Egyptian goddess Sheshat, the goddess of wisdom, writing, and knowledge, whose consort is Thoth, she is also associated with cannabis, a cannabis leaf being above her head, or even a 7-pointed star or a 7-petal flower, which is said to have become the halo. She is also associated with cannabis, and the cannabis was turned into a liquor that was used symbolically and for ceremonial purposes. Now, the Valentinian Christians have also said to put something in the wine that would induce serotonin, either a herb or possibly cannabis. We don't actually know. Now, this is due to heresy hunters and witch hunts and burnings, and book burnings. Now, Cannabis has been used frequently throughout the course of time. Somewhere out in the wild, our ancestors discovered it, thought, wow, this is great. It can be used as a tool. So it can be used medically and it can be used as a fabric. So it's hard to tell exactly the date. I would say cannabis has been there since man became intelligent and started experimenting with plants. And back in early civilizations, and especially early man, we've seen much spirituality or much mystic sort of ideas in plants and in animals and each other. So we were discovering the world and seeing it as mystic. We've seen it as a very mystical world. Peace and love, everyone. I love you all. Connect to all, mum, mind and soul. Namaste.